it's Claire, and welcome back to Don't Drive Naked. This is the third episode of my podcast, and I have my high school film teacher,
How about that?
Mr. Qualls, here today. We're on location in our classroom today, so that's really, really fun. But we're going to get into our episode. If you guys have not seen the other two episodes, I will put them in the description box below so you can watch those. But if you don't know how this works, I have 3 sections I like to accomplish during this podcast. The first section being I have a list of topics I've come up with for each individual guest. We're going to go over those. Then I have my rapid fire section where I just ask the same questions to every guest. They're kind of like trivial questions like what's your favorite color and stuff like that. And then we're going to get into the last part where my guest will sign my plaque in the back over there. So yeah, this is just supposed to be a safe space where we can talk about whatever we want with absolutely no judgment. So we're going to get into it.
With no judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment.
Yeah, we're
No.
allowed to disagree
All right.
and everything.
How about that? That's pretty good.
Yeah, we have debates. Okay, so my first topic for you is your childhood. I want to know, like, how you grew up and stuff.
Oh, you know what? I had a great childhood. My childhood may not be like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But mine was awesome. I had 2 parents who were married for 64 years before my father passed away, who truly loved each other and loved on me and my sister tremendously. And it was, I mean, if you think of an Andy Griffith or an old show.
Oh, yeah, I love
and,
Andy
and the
Griffith.
way in which old time love was for people. It was truly an unconditional love. So really, no matter what I did,
It's like Brady Bunch kind of love.
yes, and I did, and so, but they loved me anyway.
Yeah.
And so even through mess ups and whatever in my life, they were gonna love me no matter what. And so I grew up in Anderson, out on the north side, and we were actually bused to a different city to go to school back in the day.
Back when they used to give you a bus for different locations.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so ours was about 20 minutes away going north, Frankton, smaller school up in the other part of the county. So that's where I went to high school. But my childhood was, you're outside playing until dark, and then,
Oh, I remember that.
mom yells at you and makes you come in, and you don't want to come in, and you get to eat a little bit, and then and mom was very protective. And would not let me take too many chances in life. And so there were times when I was really younger that we had no traffic on our street, but she wouldn't let me cross the street.
Yeah.
And so I would be in the outfield of the ball game. And so the guys would be able to play in the other yard,
Yeah.
and I would be the outfielder. So they would hit it across the street to me, and I would have to throw it back. She was so...
They included you.
Yeah, at least I got to be included. Yeah, and then we finally got to the point where I could cross the street and
Yeah.
go play with kids. It was cool.
Did you live in like a neighborhood or like?
Yeah, it was neighborhood, small, 3 streets, very
Yeah.
very tiny, but big yards. And so we had like our own football field. We had our own place to play. It was fun.
Yeah. I remember when I used to like hang out with all the neighborhood kids, and then they all moved away.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some like childhood stories you could share?
I was supposed to be outside, right, and playing.
Yeah.
And my sister was supposed to be babysitting for me. That didn't work real well. Never did. And I remember being outside, and I got hit with a baseball, and my eye was like, because it hit me right here, and it was huge. I mean, my eye was absolutely huge, and it's really difficult to keep from a parent when she came home, and it's like, how you doing? And you're trying to like look away. I'm fine. How are you doing? We got in so much trouble. But it was small stuff like that. But I played ball all the time.
Yeah.
When I was
just a
little.
one time.
And one time, yeah. But I was hurt all the time.
So was I.
I mean, it was, from shoulders and ankles and knees and whatever. I would find a way to break it.
Were you the little sibling or the older sibling?
I was the youngest. Yeah. By far the youngest.
Okay, yeah, so am I.
Yeah.
So I this is funny. I remember I was 5 years old, and like whatever my brother wanted me to do that was dangerous, I was gonna do it just to be able to hang out with him. And so I would just follow him out through everyone. He goes, "Hey Claire, we're gonna go out. We're gonna do this thing that you like to do, where I have my bicycle and we put a rope to the wagon, and I'm just gonna take you around in our cul-de-sac, and then we have this hill at the top, and every time he would take me around, I'd ask to go faster." And my mom would come out and be like, "Grant, don't do that. She's gonna get hurt one day." And then go back inside. And I'd be like, great, let's go again, let's go faster. And he wasn't paying attention, I was laughing. And this one time was the last time we ended up doing it. I was like, go faster, go faster. And before I knew it, I was on the side of the concrete next to the mailbox screaming because he flipped the wagon over on accident.
See, that would be a YouTube sensation today if we had that. Oh,
he had a YouTube channel back then. It was funny. But I was on the side of the road crying, and he was like, okay, well, we can't do that anymore. My mom comes running out, and I had to get a filling because my tooth wasn't ready to come out yet. And so, I had to get a filling.
Oops.
Yeah. And then, we used to, like, wrestle in the living room all the time, and he'd, like, drop my head on the coffee table a lot.
Is that what happened?
A lot of times, yeah. It's probably why I'm so weird nowadays. But, that would always happen. Like, he'd always get me in trouble, and, like, he'd always try to beat me up or get me hurt or whatever. But, like, you were the younger sibling, so do you have any experience with your older sibling?
You know what? We never, because we were, like, totally different. She was really into acting and drama and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was totally into sports.
Yeah.
And she was very anti-sport. So, no, I mean, we really, my best friend was really like my brother because we were together all the time. Not just a little bit of time, all the time. We were never separated. And so during the summer, usually for most kids, a break. And he lived 15 miles away, but we were together all the time. We would always find a way to make that work.
Yeah. And my brother and I were never close. Sometimes we'll get close, and like recently we've been getting along, I'll call it that.
Yeah. Does he live away?
No, he lives at the house.
Okay.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because sometimes I just want to live alone with my parents and be an only child. But I didn't get to experience that because in 2010 he got diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so he like missed kind of a year and a half of high school and was like homebound, so he had to like get back on track to graduate on time. And so now he's like, I think this is his second or third year being a senior in college because he had to like do Ivy Tech and stuff because he couldn't go to school yet. Yeah. And he still lives at home, so.
Did he go to Anderson as well?
No, he was a lapel kid.
Okay. Wow.
Well, we started out at Forest Hills, which is in our neighborhood.
Sure. Yeah.
And then he went to lapel, and then I went to lapel, hated it. I was like, I'm coming back to Anderson, and then I became homeschooled, but like, he wanted to graduate, and that's what he wanted to do.
Cool.
So yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Any more childhood memories you can think of?
Remember when you talked to me about childhood, it wasn't like it was 3 weeks ago.
No, it was a long time ago.
Well, you don't have to see the way you said long time ago. You can say, probably longer than my childhood would have been.
Mine's still going on.
Yeah, exactly. No, mine was really spent outside playing ball. And every memory that I have is really about outside or being in a gym playing basketball or playing football. Mm-hmm. Mine was totally involved in athletics.
Mm-hmm. I would say like mine was definitely involved in sports a lot too because we were the kids, my brother and I, who would do every sport. Mm-hmm. And then we'd find a couple that we would stick with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and really back in the day, we all played. Mm-hmm. It seemed like everybody played 3 or 4 sports.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was no such thing as you just play the one sport athlete concept of today. Mm-hmm. Everybody played more than one.
I know.
Always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get that one. Okay, so segueing into our next topic, you're a football coach. You're the coach of our football team. I want to know a little bit more about that. When did you realize, hey, I want to be a coach, and like where of all the places you've coached?
Oh. When did I realize I wanted to be a coach?
Yeah.
Really not until late in college did I really understand that was what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. I'd always thought that I would be a doctor, go into business.
It's always the doctors that realize they don't want to be doctors.
I know, isn't it though?
Yeah.
But when I went to college and really enjoyed my experience there. But when I was younger, I really felt a call to the ministry. Okay, but it was like, I'm not going to be in a pulpit. I'm not going to be a pastor. I'm not going to preach. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, but you'd be good at it.
Well, thank you. But I didn't want to be in a pulpit. That just wasn't, as you guys would say, it's not my flow, right? So it wasn't. It's just not what I wanted to do. And so it wasn't really until later in life that I found that really my ministry was going to be in coaching and on a football field. And so I started my coaching career at Peru High School. If you're from Peru, then everybody says Peru. If you're not from Peru, then it's Peru, Indiana. Okay. And so I started there, coached there for 6 years, and Kind of took a little curve where, I was wanted to coach college football, and so I coached at Ball State for a while. And coming back from a coaches convention, I was hired away to go into business and traveled 50 out of 52 weeks of the year, 50 states, 42 countries. Really enjoyed my time in business, but I knew deep down inside that I was to be a coach. And so I really left the business world and came back to coaching, and coached at Westfield High School, went to a state championship there, was the head track coach there as well. Then went to Hamilton Southeastern,
Okay.
not too far away from Westfield.
Yeah.
So actually I was able to live in the same house and do that. Got married to my wonderful wife at that point in time. And she, she has stood by me through every twist and turn of my life. And so then I went to Hamilton Southeastern.
Yep.
We had some undefeated seasons there and really good success.
Their sports teams are so good.
Oh, it was tremendous. Coached at Anderson University after that for a couple of years. And then was asked by Heritage Christian, a small school in Indianapolis, to start their football program. And there was absolute no way I was going to do that. To take kids over that had never played the game of football. You go into their school and it's not about football. To do that, to go from the college level to basically baby football, where you really had to teach the game.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see myself doing that. And so I went and I had lunch with the superintendent, and before you know it, I'm saying yes. And I ended up starting the football program at Heritage Christian, and really, really enjoyed the time there as the football
So it was meant
coach.
to be.
It was. To make, my wife and I used to joke when we would be driving by the campus there to go to IU to a football game, that someday they're going to have football and I'm going to be their coach. We would laugh about it.
Yeah, then you were.
Yeah. And really about 5 years before that, when I was at Hamilton Southeastern, we said, I'm going to be the football coach there, which we knew they would never have football. So it was always just a running joke.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, they decided to have football. And so we were able to have a little bit of success there and enjoy the time, and now I'm at Anderson.
Yeah, that's crazy. I heard you coach at college level and all those things, so tell me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely loved college football. Coaching at Ball State and playing much bigger schools, Wisconsin, Purdue, those types of schools. Being on the recruiting trail, which is really what I loved doing. That's one of the reasons I found a little niche in business. It was good for me, was that human resource piece, or being able to meet somebody for the first time, or meet a football player for the first time, and really get a feel for what they're like, not just what you see on film, but who they are as a person. Are they going to be in our university for 4 years or 5 years? Are they going to commit to our program? Are they a committed person? And so being able to read people a little bit. I love, a lot of coaches don't like the recruiting piece in college football, being out on the road and being by yourself and away from family. And I wasn't married at the time and was able to be out and on the road. Really, really loved that aspect of college
part
football.
of it.
And it is. In college football, that's all you do.
Yeah.
It's not like you're also trying to, although I did teach one class, you're not having, never during the season were any of the coaches teaching a class.
Yeah.
It's always
It was
outside
sports
of it.
first, and then as long as you're passing, you're on the team you're playing.
Exactly. Thankfully, though, the coach that I coached for, Paul Schudel, was very, very academic minded, and we had to make absolutely sure that our players, it wasn't good enough to just pass.
Yeah.
They had to have stellar grades. I
That's
mean,
good,
it had
though.
to be off the charts, and he ensured that you come to us, you are going to graduate. We're going to make sure that you get a job. You're going to provide for your family. It's family first. He was a faith, family, football kind of guy. Much like I am, and it worked out well. So, no, I loved college football. Very, very different from high school football.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In that we don't get to be doing that all day long. There's other pieces of the puzzle.
Oh, yeah. You guys have
at
to
the
do
high
team
school level.
workouts, team building exercises.
Sure.
Like you have film crews with you all the time because of the college sports networks and things like that. It's not the same at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know nothing about football. I could tell you the basic rules, and I still don't understand how it's played. But my dad loves college football. His
Is that
favorite
right?
team is USC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love USC. When I was growing up, just that, you listen to the stadium, and it's that same little chant all the time, and seeing the stadium itself. Loved USC football growing up, especially.
He wanted to go there so badly, but because like his dad was in the military and they were always moving around, it was just like, we're not sending you to USC. Like that's just not happening.
Yeah.
So he went to Mercer, but
Now, what did he do business-wise?
he was a communications major because he wanted to do sports broadcasting, but he ended up being a professional golfer.
Okay.
Worked for Jack Nicklaus for a little while.
Well, that's
Moved
awesome.
up here to work for, like, be a pro at a pro shop at Killbuck. And then he decided in 2004 that he wanted to give that up so that, like, I had a dad at home
Sure.
and be in business. And so now he sells life insurance.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah. That's really cool, though. Yeah. Okay. So, you're a football coach.
Mhm.
You've always been, I need to be a coach, I need to be a coach. But you're now our teacher.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to get into teaching, or was it just thrown at you?
You know, really, when I was in college and pursuing different degrees, you know, one of those was business education. And so that's really what I'm doing here at Anderson. I'm in the business department.
Yep.
Being able to teach business math in the mornings, I've got 2 periods of that. Right now I have a lifting class, first period. So now I teach 3 different types of classes, which is a great thing. I love variety.
Like lifting like weights and stuff like
Yes, truly strength class.
that? I would love to do that. That sounds fun.
It is pure strength. You know, we're not running endurance at all. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for muscular strength and muscular endurance. So I love doing that in the morning. So, you know, the variety of being able to start the morning in lifting class, go teach business math, move from business math, interactive media, which is what I do now in the afternoons, and trying to build the class and build a curriculum for the class. You know, I love the challenge of here's a course.
That we didn't even get to get into, really.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, being able to do what we're doing now, and you know, with this podcast and our brief stay the last few days of what podcasts are, I think all of these are valuable assets. The interactive media, you know, how social media really drives our lives. Unfortunately, and it does. It drives our lives to such a great extent.
We need to put our phones down and like talk.
It is so difficult for people to do.
I know.
You know, I heard a segment the other day about just getting away and disconnecting, totally disconnecting. And, you know, trying to get off the grid for people right now, nearly impossible. The days of, you know, families going out and sitting down at dinner and either not having your phone out or flipping the phone upside down and having, like in our family, for the 4 of us, just to sit and talk or sit and enjoy ourselves without our phones on. Finding time to do that, one, is difficult. And then when you find the time, just the self-discipline of unplugging yourself from it. On my drive to work in the mornings, knowing that I don't have to turn the radio on, that it really can be quiet in the car, and it's okay. I don't have to have my phone out. I don't have to have the radio on. I don't have to listen to Sirius. I don't. I can actually just be still in the moment.
Which is so hard for people nowadays to understand.
Oh.
Like they're just ticking because their phone's right in their hand.
Well, you know, I see it so much here at school, especially. I think it's so distracting for our students. Technology is a wonderful benefit. It's a blessing. But at the same time, it can really drive our students to a point of such distraction that they can't focus on their schoolwork because they're really concerned about who's texting me, who should I be responding to, and everything has to be a Snapchat. Everything's got to be clicked on. Everything's got to be out on social media within the class period. And I think that really, for the most part, is not beneficial for our kids. And so I know in our handbook it says no electronics. We're not supposed to have them out. But I'm guessing 90% of our kids do have them out all the time. All the time. Until, you know, as an educator, I say, you know, you got to put them away. And, you know, we did that this morning in business math. I allow the kids to plug in after we've taught the lesson. They're doing some work. They can plug in, I'm fine. But when they plug in and the plug-in becomes a distraction, you got to unplug, turn it upside down, and really be able to concentrate on what you do.
I guess I would equate people like not being able to get off their phones to like a song that's been overplayed on the radio. Like, you know, you don't want to listen to it, but it's on, so why not?
You do it anyway.
Yeah.
Sure. And I see it's just, and whether it's that or now with our Chromebooks. Our Chromebooks are an incredible benefit, but they can also be a tremendous distraction because they know they can get a movie on it. They know they can watch something. They want to see something. And who wouldn't rather have maybe a video playing than reading a book or doing a math problem? I do get it, but by the same token, we are here to learn. So.
Yeah. It's just like we're in a classroom setting, and for me, as long as like people have their phones away while the lesson's being given, like the teacher's talking, as long as you have your phone put away for that and you want to not do your own work, that's like your own priority. Like, you don't have to do that. But if someone's talking and they're trying to help you, that's just disrespectful and rude.
Oh,
you know, have your phone out.
Our pastor the other day mentioned people in line at Walmart, and you'll go to pay, and people don't get off the phone while they're actually being served by someone else. And I know that maybe it's just checking them out and you're getting ready to pay them. But not even taking the time to get off the phone to say hello to that person who also has a life. And I'm confident that the person doesn't want to stand there all day and just check people out. They wouldn't mind saying hello to someone. But we are so social media oriented. We're so tied to our phones that we can't even go through as he said, you can't even go through a line at Walmart without having your phone in your hand. It is. It's difficult.
It's crazy. Like, I've always grown up, no phones at the table. Once you're done eating, you can go play on your phone. And now we don't really do like family dinners anymore because I think that's weird to like sit and eat and talk. Like, we can just talk without the food, unless we're all at a restaurant, and that's a different thing. But like, I've been able to get off my phone a lot, and I only use it for like filming videos and stuff, which is really nice. Like, I'm not jumping to it to text somebody. It's always in my purse when I'm driving. I'll just like put a CD in.
Sure.
Saves Wi-Fi. Saves
so much
everything.
easier.
Yeah, it's so much.
Simplifies life.
Yeah. And like, the more I've gotten into the routine that I want to be in with like playing golf all the time, I'm always at the golf course. I don't need to be on my phone.
Now, do you ever have it with you on the golf course?
It's in my bag
when you play. Okay.
It's turned off.
Yeah. Good for you, because that's not typical. Very atypical, I think, in our society today.
I mean, it's only in there for emergencies, like if I need to call my parents for some reason. Or whatever. It's not in there so I can hear my Twitter go off every 5 minutes because I couldn't care less.
Well, I'm glad it's only 5 minutes for you, because when I'm with some students, like ding, 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 ding.
Well, at the end of when I'm playing, I'll get in the car and before I start the car up, I'll check all my notifications and stuff. But I only do that to make sure I didn't miss a text from my parents.
Yeah.
And like, I'll just like go through. Well, my mom or dad texted me. I'll see what they want. Other than that, I wouldn't need it for that, just to see if they need anything, because like when you're getting in the car, it's kind of dangerous. Like, something could happen, and then I always let them know, both of them, like if I get somewhere safely or whatever, like where I'm going, and that's all I need. And I put my phone away.
Good for you. Good for you.
I wish everyone could just put their phone down. It's not that important. Like, it's really not.
Yeah, but there's in society today.
I know. It's like, are you gonna remember that text chain that you sent, or are you gonna remember a conversation with someone who you might not see again?
Well, and where was it? I saw it the other day. They were talking about, it was on the radio, and he was talking about he was on vacation, and he was trying to get totally unplugged. Now, I mean, I wish I could find that, because the guy was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was talking about trying to get totally unplugged and what that was like to really detox from the phone and putting it away, and then what it was like when he finally came back to civilization. And there's like people almost ignoring each other all the time.
Yeah.
And they never put it away. He says, it took me a while to even want to have my phone out, because he was enjoying so much just having human interaction again.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed? And like, my house isn't even that big, but I'll be in my room, my mom will be in the kitchen, she'll text me or FaceTime me, or just yell, and then I respond, but she doesn't, and that means I have to get up.
Yeah.
But like, why can't one of us just go in the other room?
Sure.
She could send a text, hey, I need to talk to you, come in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Rather than, so blah, 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 blah. Or just scream through the walls, which, you're a parent, you can attest this. You've probably called your kids, and then they were like, what? And then you're waiting for them to come down. And then you're like, I called you back. Like,
what are you thinking? Get down here. It's time to eat.
Yeah, I always hate that. I'm like, Mom, you can't clear me, and then not respond when I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you're pulling my leg here.
That's fun.
But I'd rather have a screaming match, like, what do you want, than be on the phone, because at least we're talking.
Exactly.
I mean, it's crazy that people, like, need to be on their phone so much.
It's society today. It's not like Andy Griffith anymore.
Well, 6-year-olds have iPhones now.
I know, and 3-year-olds have iPads.
I don't understand. I got my first iPod when I was 9, and it was an iPod. I didn't get my first phone until I was 12, and it was one of those slide phones. I wasn't allowed to have an iPhone.
Is that right?
Yeah. Which, I only got my phone at 12. My parents probably would have waited for me to get into high school, but because my brother had diabetes at 12, and he had to be out all the time doing whatever, he needed to text him, make sure his insulin and stuff was all straight, and like that they could communicate back and forth if he's taking shots and whatnot. That's the only reason I got it at 12, you know.
Yeah.
Or else I wouldn't have had it until I was probably 15.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't get an iPhone.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, what 6-year-old needs an iPhone?
You know, we did the same thing with our kids. Do you really need one at age 9?
No.
The only way that we could really justify it is if one of the kids were at a practice.
Yeah.
And the practice got over early, and there's no telephone at that particular practice
Yeah.
site. Them trying to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
That would be, but then all of their friends would have, or coach would have a way to do that. I mean, they've all
Yeah.
got cell phones, so no really need to have it at
Yeah.
all.
So like, yeah, I guess when I was 12, I was, you know, at dance or at volleyball or whatever, so I could be like, hey, I'm done with practice or whatever. But other than that, I would see all the little kids there whose like siblings were just sitting out in the waiting room with their iPads, and they're like 5 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, isn't that
And I'm just
fun?
like, what are you doing? Go pick up a book or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to read, but you don't need to be 5 years old on an iPad.
There's a side of it that I think is kind of sad. That it's also the human interaction between a parent and a child.
Yeah.
And so now we're having an iPad that could raise some kids. I'm not saying with every kid that has an iPad's having a bad home experience, but I'm seeing more and more that here's your iPad and stay on the iPad rather than
Let's have a conversation.
or let's go play. You know, I can play with a 3-year-old. I can play with a 4-year-old. You can play with your baby. You can crawl around.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing so much of that get lost. I wonder what impact on society that will have with human interaction 15, 20 years from now as the millennials grow up and more of the social media culture. What impact will that have on society and relationships then? I think it'll be a lot different than it is now.
Oh, yeah. Like, even between families, like, you'd rather be on your phone texting your friends than talking to your parents if you have an issue with something. And, like, I have the closest relationship with my mom ever. Like, every conversation I have, she knows about it. Like, everything. And that's not because she's checking my phone because she trusts me. I just tell her everything because that's how it is.
Sure.
And I'd rather tell her everything as it is than have her say whatever she needs to say about it than her to find out because I'm not telling her, because I'm on my phone too much or whatever.
Well, you know, I see when kids come out of the classrooms, everybody's right to the phone.
I know.
They're already plugged in, and I really don't see in this school at least students talking to each other in a hallway or saying hello in a hallway. And so when I'm saying hello to kids, they're like, what do you need? No, I'm just saying hello because you pass someone, you say, how are you doing? You say hello.
And they're like confused. They're like, that's real words. I don't know how to do that.
Exactly. Or they have to unplug first. They got to take the earbud out.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, did you say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, hi, how are you? Oh, and almost like that was it. You were just saying hello.
But you know what
And
else
they'll
is
plug back in.
really interesting is I'll like see people in the hallways that I know and I'm like good friends with or whatever. Unless I'm like best friends with them, they're not gonna say hi to me. But if I text them, they'll say hi to me.
Sure.
I'm just like, what? I'd rather you not text me back than ignore me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's different. It's different. I'm telling you.
I know.
Someday, gonna pay for it.
Like, I always say that I should have been born in the 80s because that's just more my era anyways, but there weren't cell phones and, like, computers and all that stuff, and I could just have a real conversation
Yeah.
and then watch great movies at the same time.
I've really seen it change over the years in whether it's athletics or education.
Yeah.
Just the process itself change. And I really do believe that electronics have had, and I'm not anti-electronics. I believe
I
they're
love 'em.
great. I mean, I'm teaching interactive media. I'd better be supportive of it.
Yeah.
But by the same token, there's a great reason why we have what we have.
Like, it's a great medium to have, like, all these things, and it's great. Like, this is where things are going. Unfortunately, we just have to get with it, but there's still some things from the past that we need to bring to the present that I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so next topic has a lot to do with phones, actually. Just wanted to talk about technology and how it's improved, like the good parts about it.
good parts about technology.
And like how it's improved.
You know what? Safety. You know, if when I was growing up, and there were times when I have a flat tire.
Yeah.
Well, you got a flat tire. We were talking about this the other day when we were driving with the kids. Hitchhikers. You know, today you wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker.
You would not.
There's no way.
No.
But back in the day, that's just what you did. So if I have a flat tire and I gotta get home, stick the thumb out, I gotta jump in the car or the truck with somebody and get back to my house and figure out how I'm gonna get a tire and get all that changed.
Yeah.
Today, flat tire, and you don't have to get out of your car.
You just call the
You
tow
press
truck
the
company.
button, tow truck comes in and helps you out and gets it fixed.
That I really enjoy.
And so the safety piece of it,
Yeah.
and me as a parent,
For the most part.
knowing that my kids are a little bit safer,
Mm-hmm.
if they needed me right now, they can get me.
Mm-hmm.
If they need help from someone else, they can get them right now.
Yeah.
And so from the aspect of safety,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's put really a great safety net over a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's if you want to look at positive.
Yeah. But also to bring in a negative side of that is everything's online and like companies are taking your data. And so if someone wanted to stalk you or something, it'd be so much easier.
Oh, absolutely it would.
So yeah, that's like the downfall to that part.
Well, and you know, you mentioned people able to take your information. Again, a positive and negative. Yes, it is incredibly negative that they can accumulate all of that information. The positive of knowing buying trends. I mean, back when I was in business, I would love to have known some better trends in the marketplace that I didn't have to go out and do all of the computation and statistics for. Having that data at my fingertips, and I don't have to invest my time doing that.
Yeah.
I can invest my time doing something a little bit more profitable. That would have been a huge bonus. So you know, there are great positives to it, but as you said, boy, the negative piece. And you know, I also think of just the amount of money that we invest in cell phones. Not just the technology piece of it with all the different
crazy.
apps, but think of the monthly bill that everybody is paying for telephones and the services. And there's got to be a point of no return to that. But what's the exchange then? If you're investing $500 for a family, let's say you invest $300 a month. I mean, that's a car payment. Back in the day, that was a house payment. That's a rental payment for some people to be able to have a place to live. And so there's really that trade-off of, is there a better use of my funds?
Well, yeah, everything's getting more expensive. Like my first slide phone was $99, and my iPhone apparently is like $1,000 or more.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. And I remember one of my friends when she was little had a computer, and it was like $500, and now they're like $3,000, and like.
Sure.
It's like crazy. Like, has it really gotten to that point where we just need to spend more money on it? Because.
Well, and the other piece of it is, do you need the absolute first version that comes out? And so with televisions, let's take a 50-inch television. 3 years ago, a 50-inch was $1,000-something, right? And now you can pick up a 50-inch if you wait till they go on sale, $298. And so you can find these same exact television, and probably with a couple of improvements over the 3 years. But unless you have to have the absolute top of the line, it just now came out with this very, very small change or improvement that you might notice.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would.
It's kind of not worth it. I mean, I've had the same TV since 2008. It's a Toshiba, and it has the DVD player attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
And it still works. It doesn't play gold discs, though, because it doesn't read those anymore. But it still works perfectly. I haven't even changed the remote batteries from the TV remote.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like, it still works. Like, I don't leave it on at night or anything, so, like, it still works. And, like, it's great. Like, I don't want a new TV. But then I also remember that it was only like $500 back in the day.
Sure.
And now that same TV would be so much more. And then before that, I had inherited my brother's TV, which is like the square one with the buttons that you had to go and you had to push up at the front. Like you didn't have a remote.
Sure.
And so I'd sit next to the TV so I can just flip the channels, and it had like 10 channels maybe.
Wow.
And now you get everything. Like we just got like an upgrade for our Comcast system, and now we have like voice activated and everything like that.
Isn't that cool?
So I call it my Apple TV, even though it's not.
Even though it isn't.
But yeah, we have like Netflix on the TV now, and I'm just like, my mind is blown. Like seriously. And, like, could I go without Netflix on the TV and just watch it on the computer? Yeah, but, like, it's on the TV, though.
Yeah.
But it's just so much more expensive, and it's crazy.
You know, I think, though, growing up, I think my mom and dad,
Yeah.
had the absolute first remote TV that was even made.
Yeah.
Worth millions of dollars, actually. Because they would be sitting there and say, hey, son, would you change the channel to 13? And I would get up and I would go change the channel to 13.
Yep.
And they'd watch for a few minutes. They'd say, son, can you change
Yeah.
it to channel 8? And I'd get up and I'd click it to channel 8. And so really, you know, I'm worth millions because I was the first remote that was
Yeah.
ever created. And so, and I think they wanted me just for that one purpose of changing the channel.
I mean, that's a pretty good purpose right there.
You know what? If I could just do that. And we only had, what, 3 choices? No, we had 4 because Channel 4 came around. So we had Channel
yeah. So you had, like, the
13,
news, you had
8, 6.
cartoons.
It was 13, 8, 6, and Channel 4 with the news and cartoons. That was it.
I remember getting up to watch Tom and Jerry, and now it's like,
Yes.
now I don't have time to do that anymore.
Tom and Jerry.
I know.
Was the
It's
best.
crazy. Like, things that have changed, you don't have to go up to your TV to change the channel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I don't even know. Like, there's just so many crazy things. Like, I was driving the other day, and I was remembering how when I was little, I would think about how we're walking on every part of the pavement in a vehicle, and I was like, oh, yeah, I feel like that again.
Yeah.
Like, we're just inside of, like, a piece of metal, but we're, like, going across everything.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, this is crazy. People used to walk or, like, take a horse places.
Sure.
And it's crazy. And I remember we used to have, like, a cassette player, and, like, we'd play, like, little cassettes, but then we had CDs, and we had, like, VHS tapes, and some people have never seen VHS tapes before, and I think it's crazy.
I still have a lot of my VHS
Yeah.
tapes from coaching football.
Yeah, my dad has a lot of USC games. on
2000. Oh,
VHS.
it's amazing
I
the
know.
old videos I've got.
I have so many memories with those because I didn't know any better, and I would pull the tape out.
I
I get in so much trouble. But I love the VHS tapes because I could never remember how to put them in. I'd put them in backwards and they wouldn't go in. I'd have to take it out. And they were just so much fun to play with. I don't know. And now it's like we have CDs and people don't even use CDs anymore.
No, that's a rarity. It
I
really
know.
is.
Everyone's like, I have my Netflix or whatever. And it's like, Netflix is great, but they don't have like a lot of things on there.
Because now cars, I mean, if you buy a new car, you're probably not going to get one with a CD player in it. I mean, I can't.
I guess not. Well, my mom's
Because
like,
would
do you
there
want
be a
the
huge
stereo
use
there?
for it?
I don't know. I mean, I would, because like my brother and I always love CDs, so we put CDs in the car.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, but everyone else is like, I got my extension cord for the phone and I'm listening to music.
Exactly.
Which
Yeah.
my brother has one of those, but I think those are, I don't like my music that loud. Why would I want it to blare through speakers and be that one person that you can feel their music?
Probably the convenience of, especially if you're traveling, of being
Yeah.
able to find any music that you want or any podcast. See, I did that podcast.
Hey, he did that, guys.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of things, if I'm driving, I would
Yeah.
much rather listen to than, and I don't want to go out and buy a CD every time. So if I can plug my phone in and hear it and get it cheaper,
Yeah.
it sure helps.
Well, here's what you do though. You get one of those blank CDs, in like one of those blank cases, and then you go and you put it on your little circular thing, and you download whatever you want.
But it takes forever. I'm an immediate gratification guy.
Yeah, but once you do that, then you have those. Unless they get scratched, you have them forever.
Gotta hear it one time, I'm done.
You do?
Yeah, I can't. To hear it twice.
I can listen to like the same songs forever. I've been a Beatles fan since I was 9 years old.
Is that right?
I can still listen to every single one of their songs and not get tired of them.
Wow.
The only one I don't like is the Beatles version of Across the Universe because I love the movie so much that the movie ruined the original song for
Is that
me.
right?
But every single song I just will listen to.
Now, do you have like a favorite album of the Beatles?
I love Sgt. Pepper.
Okay.
That's probably my favorite. Or Abbey Road's really good.
I still love just that image of Abbey Road with all of them walking
across,
I
and
love
Paul's got a
that.
cigarette and he's barefoot.
Yeah,
I used to have like a huge poster of Abbey Road in my room.
really.
Like it was life size.
That's
so
cool.
cool. Yeah. Always been a Beatles fan.
There's times when we're out as a family and we'll see a little crosswalk like that. And we're like, get in line.
That's literally on my bucket list is to walk across Abbey Road.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we have to find that same Volkswagen, put it in the corner.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no. I was always the one who liked music that no one else liked. And so
Beatles.
Beatles, awesome.
That's cool. Had a
Beatles.
Rubber Soul.
True.
That's one of my absolute favorite Beatle albums.
My
Rubber Soul.
Instagram bio in middle school was I have a rubber soul and kaleidoscope eyes.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was.
That's cool.
It's funny. Yeah.
That's very good.
I guess I really like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I would, in elementary school at Lapel, I would, for Music Fun Day, you got to pick your song and you got to sing it. And I would always choose a Beatles song. And I would always, the ones I would kept going back to were Octopus's Garden, I'm the Walrus, and Here Comes the Sun. I would sing those every time.
Wow. That's very cool.
I mean,
Those are three pretty diverse songs, though.
Yeah.
Those are not exactly alike.
those are not my favorites anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just love rock music. Like, that to me is what music is.
Mhm.
What about you?
What kind of music do I like? Country music. I haven't always been a
Yeah.
country guy.
Uh-huh.
But I
You
really
like Johnny Cash?
not that country. I didn't say hillbilly. They're saying hillbilly. No, I'm just kidding. Johnny Cash is not hillbilly. No, I like country music and probably more of the newer artists. I think probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a country guy.
Yeah, definitely not.
Never.
I've never liked country. I used to like Taylor Swift though when she was country, and then she went pop, and I was like not into it because I don't like pop music. Like, to me, like the mainstream top 40, just it's never been what I like. And so like everyone will listen to that around me, and they're like, "Hey Claire, listen to this new song," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like it." Or my favorite game to play at dance is, "Hey Becky, who's my dance teacher, what's this song?" Because I don't know it,
Yeah.
and everyone else knows all the words, and I'm just like, I don't know this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to make some CDs and bring them in.
Don't see my. Maybe it's because I grew up with rock and roll. And my parents were from the Deep South, and they liked and appreciated country music. And so probably me saying, because if my parents liked it, then of
Yeah.
course I wouldn't. And so I liked rock and roll music, which growing up in a very conservative Christian
Yeah,
atmosphere, you couldn't really listen to rock and roll music.
yeah.
And so Aerosmith, Blue Oyster Cult.
Love Aerosmith.
All of that. Saw Aerosmith in concert.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was really good back in the day. With the Eagles.
Okay.
We're able to see the Eagles live. And saw them actually, I think, in the same concert. Joe Walsh's 40th birthday or 30th birthday up at Purdue. Saw him there.
Okay.
They had a birthday. Everybody sang happy birthday to Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I just wish I grew up with all that good music, like the 80s, like Van Halen
Yeah.
and like Bon Jovi and all those like good
See, you
rock
would have
music.
been great in the 80s.
Yeah, I love all the 80s movies. Like John Hughes is one of my favorite directors.
Is that right?
Yeah, I just would have loved it. And then like The Shining came out in 1980, and I would have gotten to live through like Stanley Kubrick's Heirs, and that would be so cool.
See, here's what's terrible. My wife and I love to go to movies. Can take her to see, I don't know, Jason Bourne or whatever. and the very next day, someone could say, "What movie did you go to?" I'm like, "Oh, it was awesome." They'll say, "What was the name of it?"
You don't know.
I have no idea what the name of it is. What was the name of the song? I have no idea.
That's always me. I know like all the titles. I know the entire track list that they would play, like their soundtrack. I would know all that.
See, I've never been able to do that. If it's something that I can look up, then why would I want to memorize it?
I've looked it up and I just memorized it.
See, I can't. There's no way. Now, give me a football sequence of plays, defenses,
Yeah.
kicking game. Yeah, I think I get all that.
Me with
memorized.
hockey, I could literally tell you everything that happened.
See, you could. couldn't you?
Yeah, but I just like to remember things, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. Just born in the wrong era.
Perfect mind. It's a perfect mind, Claire.
I don't know. So yeah, with technology and stuff, like everything is just crazy. Like I remember learning when like Alexander Graham Bell made the telephone. That's definitely not what it is anymore.
No, you know what? In college, we computer class. We had to actually go and punch the cards to write. We watched the movie today that had code in it. We would actually have to write these in Fortran or Cobalt, whichever it happened to be. And then you would stay there all night long with your cards after you punch the cards in. Stay there all night long to see if your program comes out right or not.
Yeah.
And there could be one card in that program that was out of order,
Yep.
and you'd have to go back and redo the entire thing because it was wrong. And really, no way. I mean, today somebody could probably sit down and figure it out.
It's like with a typewriter.
Yes.
I always wanted to learn how to use a typewriter.
Really?
My mom says they're tedious and she does not like them, but
I taught typing. One of the very first class I taught in teaching was Introduction to Typing. And I can remember them bringing in the electrics at the end of the first, we were on 6 weeks then. At the end of the first 6 weeks, they brought in the Selectric 2.
yeah.
It was this great typewriter that corrected errors.
That's
And so
nice.
you'd backspace and hit a button and it would correct a person's mistake. But I still appreciate, I really do, the fact that some people still teach keyboarding. Because I watch students today try and navigate a keyboard. I had a conversation with one of your classmates the other day about, he goes, I'm just not a very fast typer. I use 2 fingers and I kind of do this.
Yeah.
And and I've watched him now try and do it. Such an incredible struggle. I just feel bad.
Yeah.
Because I know in teaching keyboarding how much faster and more productive a person could be if they can truly sit and know ASDF and click the keys so much faster.
I swear though, if I use a typewriter, I'd be the one sitting like this and trying to not try to do that. That would be really annoying.
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
Yeah, but I remember at Forest Hills we used to learn our typing and whatnot, and then we'd have our big typing test, and she'd put like a cardboard box over our desk
Sure,
so we didn't
yeah.
look at each other, and
Yeah.
then she'd like put a blocker over our hands so we couldn't see our
Sure.
hands.
Yeah.
And I remember that, and they just don't teach typing anymore because you can access it on your phone now.
You can, but let's say you're going to type a paper,
You
then
don't
how
have
are
to.
you going to type the paper?
I know some people don't know how to type a paper, and I'm just like,
Well, we
know.
saw that the other day in class
Yeah.
when we were writing. We had a very simple 2-page paper that people should be able to get done pretty quick, and it wasn't so much. Well, with a few people maybe
yeah.
getting some writer's block. It was more I've got to take all these thoughts that are in my mind, and I've got to do this.
I mean, they could have just written it all down, turned it in, and said, "Hey, I'll start typing this, but it's gonna take me longer."
Sure.
And that would have been, I would have accepted that.
It takes forever though for
Yeah.
some students to be able to get those thoughts from the mind, and it's not like there's a processing disorder.
No.
It's not that. It is truly.
They've
I don't
disassociated
know how to
what's
type.
going on in here from the computer.
Yeah, can't get it now. If they could speak it and get
Yeah.
it done, the Dragon networks that some people
Yeah.
use for that, those are great programs. I still think there's going to be a point in time where people are going to need to be able to do this with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're gonna be using holograms pretty soon.
Yes,
so
I know.
I'm scared for that.
I don't want any part of it.
I don't know. I
No,
don't.
no,
I just want to go back to where we had to see the sunlight to know it was daytime.
There you go. Sundial.
Exactly. Okay, and then segueing into our last set topic for
Okay.
you. What are your retirement plans?
Retirement plans. You know what? Ideally, I don't know when I'm going to retire. I've been asked that a lot by people. When we retire and at what age? Everybody seems to attach it to an age. At what
Age
age?
is just a number.
Yeah, I'm just not there with retirement. What would I do if I were retired?
When you slow down, I guess you could
Oh my! Love to spend more time in Florida. We
say.
have
Everyone's dream is to move to
well,
Florida.
we have this pretty special place we think
Yeah.
that we really like in Florida, and so if I could be there part of the year, be in Indiana part of the year, being out skiing in Colorado,
Colorado's
or up in
beautiful.
Canada.
Love Canada.
Oh my! If I the ideal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Give me a couple months in Canada skiing. Give me a couple of months in Arizona, Sedona area in Arizona. Give me a couple of months in Florida. Give me a couple months here. I'm a pretty happy camper.
You just feel like a traveling person.
Oh, I could do that in a heartbeat. Now, because when I was in business earlier, part of that was a lot of travel,
Yeah.
and I had the opportunity to see the country and what's out there. I'd love to do that again. But I'm not even close to that retirement piece.
There's just so much you want to do.
Yeah, you know what? I still feel called so much to education and to coaching that this is what I want to do. I don't feel like I have to be here. Like a lot of
You
people
want to be
say,
here.
yeah, I do.
It's very obvious that you just want to be
It's
here.
it's different for some people, but I want to be an educator. And some people, I think, are pigeonholed because they've been in education for a while, or even some teachers maybe that have been in it for 10 years, that maybe don't trust their instincts or really trust their God-given ability and what they've been blessed to do and their talent, just their level of talent. What do I do with the treasures that I've been given, with the talent I've been given? I think I see a lot of teachers who would be really good doing other things, and maybe it's not teaching, but you've got to be willing to follow and just go and get it done and see what's out there. But for me, I've been out there. I've done the business piece. I could go back and do that. I'm comfortable with going out and earning money and doing the whole business piece. I feel good with that.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is be a teacher and be a coach.
Yeah.
And even not so much anymore at the college level. I really enjoy the day-to-day, and I was talking with some teachers the other day, and who think I'm a little crazier than most, because I really do enjoy. I enjoy the day-to-day interaction. I enjoy the process and trying to figure out how's the student going to learn, because we're all blessed with beautiful minds that are totally different.
Yeah.
And so how am I going to connect with a student who doesn't want to be in the class, maybe doesn't realize they want to be in the class? How do I help them to realize they want to be in the class and want to stay in the class for whatever reason that they're trying to unlock that they want to be in the class for, and then to be successful and complete assignments? The whole motivational piece in a classroom at Anderson is very difficult for kids. And so to retire from doing something that I love doing, like somebody said, if you hit the lottery, you wouldn't be back tomorrow to coach. You would be out of here.
You might be
Anderson
dead
would
tomorrow.
never see. Yeah, you would never come back to Anderson again and coach football one more day if you won the lottery. I'd be back tomorrow.
Yeah, you'd say, hey, here's my lottery money. We're going to put this into the program.
But see, that's exactly it. If I were to win the lottery, then it wouldn't look the same on the football field. We would have turf, and I would change all that out. But yeah, I'd still be here.
Yeah.
Because that's what I
And
want to do.
it shows. It really does. And I feel like if you were at a certain point where you said, hey, I just want to slow down and not do this as much anymore, you would know. Or if you didn't, you'd just be like, I'm going to continue.
Yeah. Or my body would tell me, you know what, I just, I think of Mr. Snyder here in the building. And the guy's 75 years old.
Okay, yeah.
And every morning gets up at 4 a.m. to get his workout
crazy.
in. And he's alert and he's awake here. And then the other night, we were at a basketball game up at Lafayette Jeff High School.
Yeah.
And he drove the bus. And so he was up early in the morning, here all day teaching, drives the bus up there. Game goes into overtime, and my wife and I were sitting there talking, man, I really hate it for Mr. Snyder, because now he's going to have to drive the bus back, and the team's going to go eat after the game. And so they're not going to go back until midnight, 1 o'clock. He's going to have been up for 20 hours. He loves doing that.
Well, he wouldn't do it if he didn't want to.
He'd be done.
That's a choice.
Yeah.
Because 75, I'm sure if he wanted to retire from that, people would take over his job.
Sure.
There's no reason if he doesn't want to.
He doesn't have to be here, wants to be here. There's a huge difference in people who have to and want to. And I see a difference too when I was a principal for 20 years. I saw a real difference in my teachers who loved teaching, and I could go observe them in a classroom, and the interest level of students and what students were being fed by teachers was on a totally different scale than teachers that were, I'm checking out, I'm done in another year, I want to get out of here, I want to go travel, I want to go, whatever that is. They were ready to do that next thing in life. Huge difference in the delivery in the classroom too. So.
Well, a lot of teachers think they have to teach only the standards and they can't go away from the standards. And I feel like if they just took the standards to a level where they can teach outside of the standards while going back to the standards, the kids would be more interested and they wouldn't want to leave the second it was over.
It's so, you're right, with the state standards right now in education, it really has changed where we have to teach the standards. And unless you've seen education in a different way, I've been blessed that I've been able to see it from a principal's point of view, in public school, in private school, large school corporation, small school corporation, phenomenal teacher of the year type teachers that aren't very good. I've hired my own staff for different buildings. I've built new buildings, opened new buildings, so I've seen it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to the classroom, and when we've got something that we're trying to learn, I believe I can bring real world situations back to a classroom. We were talking about tardies the other day in this classroom. That's right, it was in this one. We were talking about tardies and, you know, why is it important? Why was it important in Anderson, Indiana, for people to be at work on time, and the assembly lines and manufacturing, and why, you know, you couldn't have two people missing and then show up 15 minutes late. Everybody had to be on time.
Yeah.
Well, if a person hadn't had that life experience on their side, how else would you teach that, you know, it's important to be here on time? Because I said so. Well, no, why? Well, what are you going to do if we talked about teams, if players don't show up?
Yeah.
You know, there's just a different perspective, I think, that we can take those state standards, but then you can bring real life situations back into those standards.
Yeah, I definitely think that you're doing a good job of that.
Oh, thanks.
Like I come in
You
here
just
and
want
I'm
an
like-
A, Claire.
No, I don't. I already
Come
have an
on.
A. I already
That's
have
true.
an A.
That is true. You already have an A.
I just come in here and
You
I'm
want an
like,
A plus plus?
No,
Like
I'm okay.
140 points?
No, I'm okay. I come in here and I'm like, I want to listen to what he has to say for a few minutes. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to get my work done before everybody else.
Yeah, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can give you a 3-day assignment. It's done like tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I don't know. I just work pretty fast.
You do. But it looks like you enjoy getting it done though, so it's
Yeah.
over with.
I like to have like scheduled things out during my day. So if I have a paper or something due, I need to get on that immediately. Because I just always grew up when you get home, you get your snack and you get your homework.
Yep. Get it done.
And then like I would call my friends on the phone back when we used to use landlines.
Yeah.
And I'd say, hey, can you come out and play? Or hey, can we talk on the phone? They're like, I didn't do my homework yet. And it's like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I have to go to bed really soon and you're not done with your homework.
Aw.
And like people wouldn't do it until like the next morning. And they'd probably be either failing the class or barely passing. And I'd be like, you gotta do your homework. Because you can get a C just by turning it in on time.
Sure.
And writing your name. Because you get points sometimes for putting your name on
Exactly. Just let me know you're trying, and I'll help you a little bit.
I know. But
And,
yeah.
and we've done that in here. I mean, we try and help the students to a degree.
You've been very lenient with a lot of things.
Eventually, though, you
Yeah.
have to do. There's a bottom line. Eventually, you've got to do the work, and you've got to show that you care minimally at least. But
And unfortunately, if a student doesn't really want to participate, it reflects badly on the teacher sometimes.
yeah, it does.
And
It
it's
could.
just, it's sometimes not the teacher's fault.
Yeah.
And they've like tried everything, and they gotta really sit down with that kid and find out what's going on, because there's usually other things like going on that.
No one gets up the first thing in the morning and says, you know what? How can I screw this thing up today?
Yeah, nobody
How
does that.
bad could I be today at school?
Yeah.
Students don't get up and say that.
No.
Players don't wake up and say, you know, if I could fumble the ball 3 times tonight, or if I were Andrew Luck, he doesn't wake up and say, you know, can I throw an interception in the first series? No, he wouldn't get up and say that.
No.
And so, for our students here, it's the same thing. What happened this morning, or what didn't happen, that they anticipated happening, that set them the direction that they're headed? Why are they so upset? Did they not eat breakfast? Were the parents not there? Did they get in a fight with their parents? Do they not have parents? And there are so many pieces and factors that go into a 14 through 18, 19-year-old kid's mind.
Yeah.
First thing, and especially here at Anderson, think about it. We start school at 7:30.
Nobody wants to do that.
Oh no! And so, there's a lot of scientific studies now that are done that demonstrate to us that the right timing for that adolescent would be educationally 9:30, 10 o'clock start time.
Yeah.
That would go a little bit later. I think Noblesville is going to switch theirs next year. They're going to flip their elementary time back. They're going to move their high school time forward.
Yeah, it would make more sense for the elementary kids to go to school earlier, because most of them have bedtimes.
And they're up and they're ready to go, and they're wired totally
I know.
different.
I used to be able to get up at that time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, I look at the differences, though, for students, especially in the morning and in the afternoon. We have a class that we meet 3 periods.
Yeah, that's a
back to
lot.
back to back. That's a long time for kids to be together. And so, let's take a student maybe that worked late last night. Let's say that, I don't think we have anybody here that works at Taco Bell.
Nathaniel
So
has a job.
let's say that somebody works late one night, they have
Yeah.
to close. They get home at 1 o'clock or 1:30, and they're expected to be at school, let's say at 7:20, and they're living on 4 to 5 hours sleep. And that's if they don't do any homework at all.
Yeah.
And so let's say if they've got 5 hours of sleep, they show back up and then they get some lunch, and they come in here right after lunch, and it's
Yeah.
time for a nap.
Yeah.
How difficult is it for a student who struggled during the night to come into a 3 class period hour, and stay awake,
Yeah.
and be productive and think productively about what they're trying to do? It's a stretch for a
Yeah.
teacher. I can't imagine what it is sometimes for students if they've had, let's say, what if their first, second, third period are AP class.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so you
Yeah.
know your mind is spent by the time it's lunch here, because we eat lunch at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's really early to eat lunch.
That's pretty early in the school
Yeah.
day.
And like it goes back to conversation. Like a lot of teachers are pretty flexible. They're pretty understanding. If you just take them aside and have that conversation with them, they'll like help you be able to get your work done, or like give you extensions on deadlines and things like that. Like one of my friends who's my neighbor has a job, and sophomore year she almost failed because she was working all the time because she has to pay all her own bills, and like she wouldn't be able to turn in her work because she never had time to do it.
Wow.
Like she didn't get back until 10, 11 o'clock, and she had to go to bed so she could get up at 5 in the morning to get ready for school. And then, you know,
It's tough to do.
I know. And like, I feel like if schools are like allowing work permits, and like you go and you get a work permit and you're allowed
sure.
to work, they should have like your counselor and whoever's signing off those work permits, like sit down and talk to you so you can schedule your classes and your time at school around those jobs, if that makes sense, so that everything can get done.
Well, and you mentioned scheduling it around your job.
Well, not around your job,
No,
but like
but
fixing it to where.
But
you
you're
get- yeah.
fixing it. And again, I look at education totally different than maybe mainstream education sees it. So this is nothing against
Yeah.
Anderson, because if I were at Hamilton Southeastern, I'd be saying the same thing. If I were at, I don't pick another school, LaPel, I'd be
Yeah.
saying the same thing. If I have a student who needs to work, not wants to, but needs to, if they need to work, they need to bring home money for the family, or they're saving for college education, or for whatever that is that they need to get done, then as a school system in America, we need to make a provision for that. So let's say that we know that student Billy
Yeah.
is working until midnight.
Yeah.
And I took the pen and I signed that permit like you
Yeah.
mentioned, right? So now I know that he's working until midnight, and I tell my students, please make sure you get 8 hours of sleep.
That's not really
Wait a
gonna
minute,
work
I
out
just
for
said
Billy.
that, yeah, Billy's in a little bit of trouble,
Yeah.
all right? And so I've already set Billy up for failure to
Yeah.
a degree by not giving him a 10 o'clock start time at school. That might end up going a little bit later in the afternoon than some other kids would go, or with the advent of online classes, perhaps he would be the perfect person to take 2 online classes, 3 classes in the school. One of the reasons we don't is the school, we're being paid
Yeah.
for students to be here, and that's how the formula works for us to get funded. The system itself, not ours, not Anderson Community School Corporation. It's not that we're broken, it's
Yeah.
the entire system needs to be relooked at.
Oh, yeah.
As we move forward with, especially in the area in which we live here in Anderson, where a
Yeah.
lot of kids are out working at night. They could be working at Luce Funeral. I've got one student that works at Luce Funeral Home in their crematory
Ew.
for animals.
Can't imagine he wants to do math homework at 8 in the morning.
Exactly, or even be here at 7:30.
Yeah.
And so perhaps in America, we need to relook
Yeah.
at the educational system and how we deliver it. Is that now there'll be some students that are just totally on the other side.
Yeah.
All right? They want to be at school at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
They're up and they're ready and let's go learn. All right? So that group of students be here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You could go 8 to 1
Yeah.
and be done.
Yeah.
Now bring in my afternoon crew who needed to sleep in the mornings, get their bearings, and now they show up at 12 or 1. They go from that 12 to 5 slot, get their 5 core classes in, and they're out of here. And it's a win-win
Yeah.
for everybody.
Like maybe we could do it more of like a college setup where it's like you have your scheduled classes and then you have all the extra time to do your job. Because if a kid has a job in high school and they have that work permit for that, they're trying to learn discipline and have a responsibility. They're not trying to not come to school.
Sure.
they're trying to do extra so it will help them later on in life.
I won't be surprised at all if we don't see, I don't know, in the next 15, 20 years, a tremendous change in which the way that's delivered, exactly what you're describing, it's got to be, the delivery mode of education will be changed, both because of online courses and just the way that society is finally going to figure out, oh my, it doesn't work for us anymore.
I don't think it's worked for a while.
We're using the same model that we've used for 100 years, and society's changed so much. We're not talking about getting up and working in the fields or milking cows first and then having to be home to milk in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that. All of that is so gone by. We've got to figure out what works for us.
I guess I'm so lucky that I do half day because I get to be at home in the mornings and then get to be here in the afternoons, and that's worked for me. And a lot of kids want to do that. And I'm thinking, it might not work for you because you need more classes because you haven't started. I started at 12. So 6th grade, I started and I was able to do this. So this semester in the mornings, I'm going to AU. Like, I start my first AU class tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I'll come straight here. And then I'll go to dance tomorrow night. And then I'll go to bed and the cycle is going to continue with the next day I have to wake up for my first 8 a.m. And then Friday, go back to my Wednesday classes. And so forth. And it's going to be
See,
like
that structure works for you.
Might not work for someone else.
Yeah, I'm thinking some other students that wouldn't.
No.
Let's say
Yeah.
that we tell them that 8 o'clock you don't have to be here.
They're not showing up the whole day.
They're not going to be here.
No.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
what are they going to do at 2 a.m. too? And so now we're going to open up a different piece where kids are going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the streets longer, and we certainly don't want that.
Yeah.
So some students, I think it really would be successful for.
No,
Some
and
not
that's
all.
why we need to go over this with your counselor, whoever's helping you out, and your parents and whatnot, so you can schedule your schedule to make it fit how you're going to work. Because half day at home and half day at school has worked for me.
Sure.
Being here all day, I would not want to be in your class.
But your parental influence
Yeah.
is not totally different.
No.
Much different than much of the school.
Yeah, and some people don't have the luxury of having their mom quit their job so that they could teach them.
Sure.
And but there's online options. People could have online classes, or Anderson could maybe do more of online stuff. How everything's on Canvas now. Make sure all the assignments are on Canvas so that if need be, a kid needs to be at home because maybe they're too anxious to come to school, which used to be me. It worked for them so that they could get their assignments in, but they didn't have to come to a face-to-face class.
But the self-discipline
Yeah.
to get that done.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
If you're able to do that when you're younger and you learn that self-discipline, that's one piece. But not to be able to learn it is totally another.
Yeah, and it goes back to, sometimes your society's like that, sometimes your parents are like that. It just depends on kind of how you've manifested yourself into the world.
Sure.
And, it could even be how, on college tests, if you're taking it online, you have to be on FaceTime with the proctor.
Right.
That could work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make sure the kids are doing their work, but
College kids can handle it.
yeah, there's so many different ways to make education easier, and the system needs to make that more accessible to everybody, I feel.
Yeah. Could work.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so that's all of the scheduled topics I have for you. We're going to get into the rapid fire questions
Rapid
now.
fire. Let's do it.
All right, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm an Anderson. I'm supposed to say red. Red.
What's your favorite movie?
I told you I don't know movies.
You
Already
can't even
said I
name a
don't remember
movie?
titles. Favorite movie, Jason Bourne.
Oh my goodness.
Something.
Okay, what did you eat for breakfast?
Bacon and a banana.
I had a banana too. First song that pops in your head.
See, it's another title. I told you I don't do titles.
Yeah.
Red Solo Cup. Because you said reds. Because I said red, so that's probably not a good one
I
to
guess,
say.
I don't know. Okay, name of your first pet.
Never had a pet.
Wow.
A poodle?
Never had a pet.
Best childhood memory.
Best childhood memory. Playing in basketball in Fox's Barn.
Ooh,
I was
fine.
about to say barn ball county.
Biggest fear.
Biggest fear. My family not being safe.
Okay. Biggest regret.
Biggest regret. I don't live with regrets.
That's a good thing.
Biggest regrets. That is terrible. I don't know if I've got a regret.
That's a good thing. That's a
Yeah.
really good thing. Okay, midnight snack of choice.
Oh, ice cream and pretzels.
Awesome. Worst subject in school?
Worst. Science.
Okay, that was my best. Say something in another language.
See,
Are you satisfied with your episode?
we. I'm sure that's not even close, but yes. Yes, I am.
All right, so now that brings us to the last part. You have to sign the plaque, Mr. Qualls.
How about that?
You gotta sign it.
Wow.
You've been on the show.
And that is like an awesome plaque. 1957 Chevy. Boy, did we have a
This
bunch
is
of those
taped
when
on.
I
It
grew
fell
up.
off before.
It did.
My mom might draw it on there. I can't draw.
Okay, so where would
Wherever you'd like.
Where would you like this?
No, wherever you want to sign it,
Okay, I'm going right here by the headlight. Is that all right?
you do what you want to do.
All right.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for being on my episode of my podcast.
In red.
Yeah.
See, because I'm
It's
an
all
Anderson,
red.
it has to be red. That's
Well,
awesome.
I just did that because this is in black and I didn't want it to wash out that.
That is very
And the
cool.
car's red, so it makes sense.
Love that.
Awesome.
Thanks
But
so much, Claire. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you came on the episode.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you when it comes out.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching Don't Drive Naked. I will see you guys next week. Bye.